It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Oh, it is your feel-good breakfast show, and you are just in time because there is no getting around it. When we're talking relationships, breakups are terrible, but even if they are handled with compassion, they still hurt and they can shake you to your core, causing you to question your confidence and your faith in love itself. Now, it is a culture that emphasizes forever as a relationship goal, but we are also made to feel like an ending is a failure. But is your breakup really that devastating, or could it just be the start to a new and improved life? That is the questions we are asking today.
And I like the positivity around it, though. You know, when one door closes, another opens. So let's look at the glass half full. As we always do on your Feel Good Breakfast Show, today we discuss breakups and the aftermath thereof. Our panel of experts consists of motivational speaker and radio personality Jeffrey Kahn. We've got social media, social media blogger, influencer, and resident extraordinaire Karen Kruger, as well as our writer Alistair McKay as well. Who will be giving us some insights as we discuss this, unpack this, and remember, you are involved as well. 063408883. We'd love to hear your thoughts and feelings as we get into the panel. Welcome, everybody.
Thank you so much.
I feel like we need to dive right into this because as seasons change, I feel like people tend to go through these breakups. And Jeffrey, I'm going to start off with you. When it comes to, you know, that heartache that comes with a breakup, where do we start to pick up the pieces?
I think the pieces start long before the breakup. That's the problem. And so trying to pick it up afterwards is a bit of a problem. You need to try and pick up what's coming because breakups don't happen over a weekend. They happen over a period of time. And so it's understandable that you'll start feeling bad and start feeling a bit uncomfortable and frustrated within the relationship long before the actual breakup itself. And so mentally, you need to get yourself ready for that. And, you know, it's not that easy. These are very difficult times. And it hurts a lot of people, and it's hurting people around you as well. So, yeah.
So you touched on mentally, Jeffrey, but of course there's a physical aspect as well, which actually can be manifested due to the psychosomatics of the whole thing. I mean, trauma up here, you can feel it all over. So, I mean, Karen, from your side, I mean, I would only assume that you've been through a breakup. That's the everybody has. And you know, there are some like physical manifestations. You know, sometimes you do feel like that physical pain. Has that ever happened to you?
Yes, it has indeed. I am an eater, as you can see. I couldn't eat, I can't sleep, I've been crying. So yes, most definitely, it has happened to me. I spent nights, weeks not sleeping, not being able to eat, crying myself to sleep, having mental breakdowns. So most definitely, yes.
And it's difficult when that happens.
It is extremely difficult. And as you mentioned, like you don't know where to start to pick up the pieces, but it does start in the relationship already, as mentioned. So yes.
Now, I find that being broken up to is sometimes more difficult to process than being the one doing the breakup. Now, Alistair, I wanted to know from you, why is it when it comes to breakups, so many of us look inwards and we blame ourselves and we try and find the flaw within ourselves when that breaking up process happens and, you know, we blame ourselves.
We do, and it's so sad that we do that. I think it's often so painful and we feel so rejected that to try and make sense of what's happening to us and why we feel so hurt, we then either blame ourselves or blame our partner, and often if we're still in love with the partner, then we think they are perfect, so we turn towards ourselves and blame ourselves. And I think we all have a tendency to be much harder on ourselves than we are on anybody else. So I think it's quite important to remember that there's loads of reasons why a relationship could end, and a lot of them may not be your own stuff. It could be bad timing, or your partner's not ready for the kind of intimacy that you want. It's not necessarily a bad reflection on yourself. But I think maybe it is important to listen to what they're saying and try and take it on board, but to know what is worth taking on board and reflecting on. I think introspection is important, but not for the sake of beating ourselves up, you know?
So with that in mind, often we think about what we've just said about breakups, and this particular thing it's a self-inflicted thing that we have. We almost sometimes feel like we have to punish ourselves for the relationship ending. And then what happens naturally is that you try and find a vice, a distraction, or a means to punish oneself, to feel like you've actually found a resolution, which is often very negative. Jeffrey, I want to throw this one to you. What are your thoughts on us finding these vices, poor habits, to try and and cope with this terrible ordeal?
That's escape from pain. That's all that is. You know, any kind of vice or any kind of addiction is an escape from pain. So I think, yes, I think become the vice that goes to the gym in the morning rather. You know, instead of doing the stuff, just or drinking or whatever it is, or meeting the mates in the bar or whatever, just go to gym or do something, go walk on the beach, do something different. But do something different that gives you endorphins and makes you feel good and is positive for you as well. You know, I think that's really important. It's not easy. You know, you don't want to get out of bed in the morning and you don't want to do this and you had a rough night. But try and get up to the gym. I think that's quite important. Those endorphins are really, really important, and that's a better advice to get into.
Oh, I hear you. Now, Karen, you mentioned earlier the physical, you know, manifestations that took place when you experienced a breakup. How did you shake yourself out of that? What was that first step where you realized, hang on, this is not me, this is not what I want to do, I actually want to heal myself?
Yeah.
Firstly, I started by praying, very importantly. I prayed and I told myself that I'm better than this, and if anyone makes me feel like I am currently feeling they don't deserve me, so I need to pick myself up like I am that goose girl. Yes. Come on, girl.
Yes, girl.
Yes, girl. So I started there.
Oh, I love that.
That is the motivation we need, and,
Yes.
and it's so important for us to continue this conversation, and we will. We're just getting started with our panel, so do stay tuned as we unpack more of the effects of a breakup, the aftermath as well, with a panel of experts. Do share your story. Voice note us right now, 0634088863. And Jeffrey was mentioning that when it comes to vices, maybe throw it into something physical, something that will build you after something that is broken. And the perfect person when it comes to building, especially bodybuilding, is Ryle, who is standing by with a little workout for you to give you a positive distraction.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
We are talking relationships this Monday morning on your Feel Good Breakfast Show on S3. And if you've been broken up with, you may be grappling with the very real pain of rejection on top of mourning a lost love. Now, when you're the one ending things, there's often guilt swirled into your sadness. Either way, the question remains, where to from here? Now, we are back with our discussion panel about breakups and the aftermath. Featuring our panel, we have Jeffrey Kahn, Alistair McKay, as well as Karen Kruger to share their stories with us, but also to help listen to yours. Please share them with us on voice notes. We have that WhatsApp line open. That number is 063-408-8863.
Make sure I have a voice note now. Caleb from Joburg wanted to weigh in.
Good morning, Expresso panel and viewers. I must say, with regards to my breakup, the only thing that helped was time. It took time. It took time for self-reflection and to establish what you did wrong, what the other party, how they were wrong, and trying to be a better person to the next person you decide to give your heart to. But I believe time is what a person needs to get through a breakup.
Time is a tricky one because some people need a lot of time,
Yeah.
like myself, and then I have friends who can move on so quickly, and I actually envy that of them. Alistair, I'm going to start with you. Do you think it's possible? Do you find is it more difficult to date within the queer community? Like, can you stay friends after a breakup?
I definitely think you can. I think it's tricky, as everyone said, and as that gentleman just said, I think it does take a bit of time. One of my best friends in the world is actually an ex-boyfriend of mine. And we lived together, and we tried to transition into being friends while remaining living together, and that was a terrible mistake. I think you do need to take a bit of time to sort of lick your wounds and deal with the loss and mourn what you have lost. But often, you know, what drew you to a partner is real, and there's something there. There's a deep friendship at the heart of the relationship.
Yes.
And so it seems sad to lose that.
Yeah.
I also think maybe if you are queer, it's just the community is too small for feuds. So yeah, you might have to be friends with your exes because you're going to run into them a lot. They probably have similar friends to you. So it's nice if you can transition into a friendship, but I think it does take some time, and I wouldn't rush that process.
Okay.
Well, when it comes to this whole breakup thing, we have social media. So I feel like a breakup back in the day, it may have been a lot different from what it is right now, because you could still follow the activity of your exes online. You can still keep on following this person to check what they're up to. Or maybe it's just to press the bruise a bit and to just kind of like hang on in some way. So, Karen, I want to put this to you. What are your thoughts on, after the breakup, still having that person on your timeline? You know, or is the breakup supposed to ripping the plaster off immediately and just saying, like, I'm going to block you on all platforms and I'm going to move on with my life? Like, what do you think is the best processing for you, actually? I mean, what did you do?
No, definitely. I believe out of sight, out of mind. So if you're gone, you're gone. I move on like I can move on. So I would definitely say no. I would block and move on because we do tend to go back to your profile picture, stalk here and there, see who's commenting, wat 'n meisie is die.
Was she there before?
Was sy
You know what I'm
daar?
saying?
Daar was, So no, most definitely I prefer blocking, moving on and just closing that chapter.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I always found that, you know, I didn't want to be the person that did the blocking first. I didn't want to come across as petty.
Yeah.
But I would mute. I would mute or completely stay off social media, and my friends and family members have this habit of look at me now syndrome.
Yes.
They just look all kinds of fabulous and living their best lives.
I am much like that.
Jeffrey, I know we're laughing here, but you know, breakups, they're difficult, they're hard, and especially if it's been a long-term relationship and your social circle is now also becoming torn.
Yeah.
Who keeps who in the divorce? That's often the thing. But how do you navigate that? If you and your partner decide, okay, we're going to go our separate ways, as friends or towards the friends, what would be the best way to handle a situation?
You can't navigate that. Friends make up their own minds, and it'll be immediate. It'll be an immediate decision. They're very sad. They don't quite know what to say. They don't know how to handle it. So they sometimes stay away. They withdraw, and you say, "Why are they not speaking to me anymore? I mean, these are friends of ours for years and years and years. Why are they not speaking to us?" And they just don't know. It's like almost in a divorce with kids. The kids are older. A little bit older, they don't quite know what to say to mom and dad. You know, what do we say? And so they withdraw, and they go to the one side and the other side, and the other one's getting jealous because they're spending more time with the other. But the kids are in a coma. They don't know what's going on, and they don't know how to handle it. And same with friends. They pretty don't know how to handle it. You'll see who your friends are. And eventually, those that have gone away will eventually come back when everything's settled in your life. They will eventually come back in your life, or they won't.
Well, but then again, then you'll know which ones are worth keeping, I suppose, if they, you know.
Exactly.
That's that I think people filter themselves out. But Alistair, Karen and Jeffrey are still here. We have another part for you where we have to unpack breakups. If you have any commentary, 063 408 8863. We'd love to hear from you. This is your Feel Good Breakfast Show.
It's my feel good breakfast show.
It is your Feel Good Breakfast Show. This is Expresso, live in S3, and we're back to our discussion about breakups and the aftermath, featuring our panel, Jeffrey Khan, Alistair McKay, as well as Karen Kruger. Earlier, we explored some of the symptoms that transpired immediately after a painful split. We delve a little deeper now in that discussion. Before we get there, we got Kurt from Durbanville who'd like to weigh into our discussion.
Good morning, Expresso family. So what's important is you have to program your brain, telling your brain that that person isn't in the picture anymore. You have to constantly remind yourself of your worth, knowing that you are worth it, knowing that you did your best to be in that relationship and trying to build it. Also, you have to cut contact with that person for as long as possible.
Thank you, Kurt from Durbanville. I appreciate that. If you want to weigh in, please feel free. 063 408 8863. Let's continue, shall we?
There we go. Well, Karen, I'm going to kick it off with you. You know, after the breakup, how soon after the breakup should you go and collect your belongings, if at all?
Not at all.
You cut your ties with the person and your things.
Completely, like cut off, dead cut off. I've never been that person that's like, bring my stuff, I need my stuff, I want my stuff, we're not together anymore, so I want what's mine. No, I've never been that person. So I close that chapter with my belongings and all out where you can gaan. Just go, whatever you do with it, it's on you.
And the gifts they gave you, do you now all of a sudden hate the perfume?
No, not at all, not at all.
Yeah, or the lipstick they gave you from Rihanna.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
No, I will keep it and just be like, okay, I deserve this, so it's fine.
Yes! that's it's about reframing.
Yes,
isn't it?
most definitely changing your mindset.
Yeah. Okay, that is great. That's good to hear. I feel like so many people are like, I shouldn't have given it back. Now they're going to call the ex. Wait, you don't think I gave back to you? I want it back after I gave it back. But Alistair, let's talk about something that is also very controversial. After a breakup, often we find ourselves needing to escape. We spoke about escapism a little earlier, but that escape can sometimes be in the arms of another. Sometimes we need to rebound, and sometimes there's that hookup where it almost like it's like you want to control how you feel, so you want to get into something that you have control over, like one of these hookups or another quick relationship in order to make yourself feel better. What are your thoughts on this concept as a whole?
I'm a big fan of it. You know the saying, the best way to get over someone is to get under someone? So, I think, but I mean, I do think there are warnings that go with it, right? Like, I think if you are trying to, as Jeffrey was saying, I think if you're trying to sort of numb your pain or avoid your feelings, then maybe it's not the way to go. And I think for some people, it might make them feel worse. So you've got to just be aware of how it's making you feel. And if it's making you feel worse, then don't do it. But I think it can be just a really light-hearted, fun way to just get back out there again, feel attractive again, because that can often be quite hard after a breakup. It's quite low stakes. You know that your heart's not really on the line. You're just having a bit of fun. I think that can be quite good for moving on.
Emphasis on fun.
Yeah. It has to be fun. It's the fundamental thing. You know, you don't want to give yourself caught into slipping into another relationship very, very quickly. But I like your sentiments, and I hope that whoever's getting into that sort of thing to kind of heal is sort of making sure they temper that sort of emotional connection, you know, and just making sure they're going out with an open mind and some fun, which is so important. Thank you.
I think that also now kind of begs the question, is there ever a right amount of time before you move on with someone?
Psychologically, 18 months.
Okay.
So psychologists worked it out 18 months. But men are different. We just go straight in.
18 minutes.
18 seconds. That's the problem. Women take more time, and they're more emotional about it, and I've got to get over it, and I've got to get, the mentally. Men, next weekend. Got to be. Otherwise, I don't feel like a guy anymore. And that's why men are getting into relationships so quickly. And you've got to be careful with the quickness getting into a relationship, because you can hurt somebody else. Yeah. They might not be in the same situation that you're in.
Yes.
They might be ready for this real relationship. Just meet somebody amazing now, and the other person's on a rebound. So just be careful of the other person as well. You know what I mean? So negotiate that situation. But men, unfortunately, we go straight in. We don't wait 18 months.
Okay. Ooh. Well, we have another voice note that we would love to share with you. This one's from Ronald. Let's take a listen.
To survive a breakup, you need to be positive. You need to spend time with family and friends who uplift you, and you can get yourself a new hobby as well. Something that you always wanted to do, and you need to pray. But first and foremost, when you want to move on after a breakup, you have to forgive that person. That's the only way you'll be able to move on. Now, don't take anything, leave everything behind, and start anew, start afresh.
Wow. That is one of the most powerful sort of statements, especially that forgiveness. Because when something has happened, the blame goes all over the place until you kind of find a moment where you can say, this is how I'm going to deal with it. So when it comes to forgiveness, it obviously starts with yourself. You know, Karen, I just wanted to ask you about this for a second, but just in terms of forgiving yourself for, let's just say being duped, because sometimes people do that to you. Forgiving yourself for trusting somebody else. That forgiveness, it's quite powerful. How long did it take you to do that after your breakup?
Most probably like a year and 8 months, up to 2 years. I gave myself that time.
Yes.
To heal completely. And even after that, you're not healed completely, but you do need like a long period of time to heal. Yeah. So I gave myself like 1 to 2 years until I moved on to something else, someone else.
Forgiveness.
Oh, this was a fun conversation. Alistair, Karen, Jeffrey, thank you so much for joining us today. And, learning from your past relationships will definitely prepare you for a new relationship. Yeah. And even if that new relationship is with the new you, that will better fulfill your needs and help you to grow even more. Now, your growth will also make you a better partner in the long run. And when you are ready, be open to new experiences this with someone new and really just enjoy the single phase, which is very important.
Indeed. Focus on yourself as well and even your own well-being. And I think the perfect person to show you about well-being is Ryle.